This podcast segment is for entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the segment does not imply an endorsement of them or an entity they represent. It also does not reflect the view of imno.expert and any of its affiliated companies or brands. If you have any questions on the disclaimer, please reach out to connect.imno.expert@gmail.com.
Welcome to another episode of I'm No Expert. Today, I have a really cool guest, somebody that's been behind the scenes, also in front of the scenes of some of the major superstars here from Sri Lanka. Lankan Serenvirata.
Yes.
I jinxed myself because I was like, I'm going to say it right. And I screwed it up.
Good. You did it right.
So
that's good.
Thank you for being here on I'm No Expert
pleasure.
At the iFilm Studios. You are a very interesting guy because I've seen you around and we finally got to meet each other at this movie premiere. Which was awesome. But you're a very interesting guy because I'm seeing you behind the scenes, but also you're directing, you're a manager, you're doing marketing components. There's a lot of stuff that you're doing, but you started off somewhere different.
Yeah, very different.
Yeah, you're a banker, right?
How did you?
I do my research. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I come from a very different background.
Right.
I went to 4 schools, and as soon as I finished A-levels, I realized I'll have to do a job because there's no other way to go about life, right? So I started at Suntel as a salesperson first.
Nice.
Then when I got my A-level results, I joined the bank.
Wow.
Thing with me is I get bored really fast. So while I was there, I did multiple things. Like I was in dance, I was in theater.
Whoa. What do you mean? You're a dancer? like what type of dance?
I trained with Kevin for a while. The usual cha-cha. So, the
Dude.
tango was all of that.
Let's go.
And then joined theater, workshop players. I toured with Jahan Aloysius also once.
Nice.
And while doing that, I figured I have this, I'm gravitating towards more creative things. And at the same time, I got picked for marketing at the bank.
Cool.
So I could do my education or academic side in management and marketing.
Yeah.
And I got real-time training at the bank. And I also had exposure to ads because I was in marketing. So I got exposure to agencies, making advertisements. And I was also on the side learning theater, dancing, drama, all of that. At some point, I figured, it's really boring here at the bank. Come to work at 9, go home at 5. It's a cool job, but it's really mundane. So I quit, started taking pictures for a living.
Okay.
Then eventually picked up the film camera, did commercial films, all of that. Then I meet Yohani, who joins our company at that time, which was called Thivra. So she joined us just as a friend to assist us, we're building a company together, all of that. And then we realized, you know what? You can sing. There's this thing called YouTube. We have camera gear. Let's record a video and put it out there. And then she went abroad. And I felt like the one thing I cannot do, hasn't done, or had never been able to do is sing.
Right.
In fact, I got kicked out of Sopranos once.
Wow.
For singing
For
badly.
singing so bad?
Yes.
Dude, I feel like you should be proud of that.
That's imagine how bad I should be. They're friends, by the way.
Yeah.
So I think simply because I couldn't do any of that, and I love music. I love understanding stories behind there,
right?
Music, literature, all of that. So I started this thing of PETA effect. Auditioned a few artists, gave them the opportunity to go out, sing, put it out on YouTube. Because we did a research now, because of my background of branding marketing, we did a research to understand why we haven't seen any talent from college days. Now, if you look at Ananda College, Royal College, any private school, they have these nice concerts where really good talent exists. Right? There are so many good musicians.
Right.
None of them make it to the mainstream.
Why is that?
So that was our research, and we found out one is the societal norm that it's not a profession. Being a singer, songwriter is not a thing.
Okay. Why is that though? Like, for example, like with like Sunil and the Gypsies, right? Like that's like, they did that full time?
Yes.
But that was an era. Right?
So yes. So the other thing was, while that perception of parents not allowing children to pursue this as a career,
right?
There's always the resource gap. It's very expensive to be an artist.
Right.
Back then we had labels like Ransilu, Toranas, Entertainment at some point. We had labels who would pick an artist, invest in an artist, push the artist.
Gotcha.
But when the music turned from physical distribution to streaming, digital distribution, nobody could adapt as fast. So all the labels went out of business.
Like all of them? Like nobody's alive?
M is there, but they are no longer a label. I mean, if you compare it to a like a T-Series or a Virgin or a Warner,
nothing compared.
The market it got stuck.
Gotcha.
I mean, there are multiple reasons for that.
Right.
But so we thought there's this thing called big labels, and under that you have sub labels. So we wanted to focus on the emerging artists. So we gave them the platform through PETA Effect. And so we found multiple people there, all of that. But unfortunately, COVID stopped everything for us. So now, and then when I went abroad, this is a long story.
No, dude, I love it.
So we had to shut down PETA Effect. But during COVID, Johanni got this big break. With that, we went to India, met so many other labels, executives. We signed different contracts, management contracts, publishing contracts, all of that. We'll get into nitty-gritties later. And so I got exposed to so many people from different parts of the world in the business of music.
Right.
And now going back, my first agency, when we found Thivra, our vision to date hasn't changed. Our vision has always been from Sri Lanka to the world. Let's take Sri Lanka to the world.
I love that. Yeah.
We had multiple opportunities to leave the country, live somewhere else, but we always, all three of us are still in the country.
All three of you? Who's the three?
So business was founded by me, Bhanvara, and Shanelli White. So three of us. Music side, and then Johanna became a partner with me for her estate. So we call it the separate company. Now, and she has a separate journey altogether, right?
Yep.
But when she and I always discuss this, because we all four of us basically grew in our careers together.
Yeah.
So we go 10 years, like it's been the 10th year with Johanni now. So,
nice. Congratulations.
So it's friendships, all of that is there. So when we got these openings, we realized there is an opportunity for our artists to go out there.
Yeah.
But for that to happen, any established artist would have to pause at least for 2 years. Go to this market, new market, build the catalog with their creators, push it with a sub-label, and hope for the best, right? It's nobody's going to do that. If you're an established artist here, no one's going to pause for 2 years, build a catalog. There's so much of investment needed, all the money is needed.
Right.
Only way to do this is spend a little bit of our money on emerging artists.
Right.
So they still have the time to build the catalog, take it and push.
Yeah.
So that's when outright play happens.
Gotcha. So
we have a scientific model of artist development. I brought expertise from songwriters from different parts of the world. We have A&Rs helping us out, like some Billboard power players. There's one guy who's helping us. So there is that, I would say, the advisory coming in from abroad so that we can groom and train our artists to one day go out there and be proudly Sri Lankan artists.
I love that. There's so many things I want to unpack.
Yes. Sorry, I took so much time.
Dude, I love it. No, but it's a beautiful, I love that. It's this beautiful dance. It's a beautiful journey. And I like that you mentioned that it did take time. It did take 10 years. Whereas a lot of people don't see that. A lot of people only see like the part of like, oh, okay, we see him, we see her, we see them. They're all in the news, and then they think it's like this overnight thing, but it was like a constant tilling of the field.
Yeah,
and that's what's important, right? Like people need to understand that takes time. And
100%.
and even if like, I feel like that comparison of like overnight success is like compared to viral success, right? Like somebody can put out a video and overnight it happens. But then do they have that muscle to consistently keep doing that over and over and over again? And obviously you guys have proved that because of the journey you've been on. You said something very important, which was I left school, which was your A-levels in Sri Lanka. So that's equivalent to your high school education.
Yeah.
But I think we're leagues ahead from the majority of the Western countries. Because every time I went back and came back, I was like, I would study in Sri Lanka and then go back. I would be a couple of grades ahead. From the class, because like it's crazy. Education systems are weird. Okay. But yes, I thank you, Sri Lanka, for being super smart with your education system. But the point is, like, so you had you did your A-levels, but you went straight into banking. Why was banking the first thing that you wanted to do?
I had no clue, right? My parents didn't have a clue. Okay. Growing up, there was no guidance from family or anybody. They didn't know better. I mean, they're good people, but also they don't know better, right?
Right. Because they think if you get a job, you get a car, you get a house, like that's like the goals, right?
I guess. So from my, at least, I mean, from my background, all I could hear was if I don't pass this thing, you could end up in a garage. That's it, right? So I played a couple of sports also. Then during A-level years, I realized then you're an adult at that point, right? Then I realized, well, I can either try to play for Sri Lanka, try to play the big match or pass the A-levels, get a job.
Right.
And the most lucrative idea was to be a banker at that time because that was I would say from where I come from, for what I have seen, banking was the biggest thing. When I came to the bank, only I realized, there are companies like Unilever's that exist, and there are people in branding and all of that. We didn't know better.
What has banking, being a banker, what has that taught you, and taking those lessons into your creative side?
I think if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't pick banking.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Tell me.
I was lucky to have been under a few great bosses. That made the difference for me, not the bank or the job itself. So I worked under really cool people who gave me the opportunity to do more in my role. They never stopped and said, and I'm a very curious person, so I would go and ask what this guy is doing, what that guy is doing. But my bosses gave me the opportunity, okay, you don't have to be just doing this. Maybe you want to learn.
Yeah.
So
it's a good mentorship.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's them more than the bank as a job.
Nice. I like that. So you also mentioned that what I'm seeing is that there was a lot of good guidance, right? To help you kind of find your voice and what you were interested in. But then you made that switch part-time, right? You were saying you were at the bank and then you started like do this stuff on the side. When was that moment? So this is the hard part for a lot of people, right? The people that go into the logical solution when they leave school is obviously get a job, make some capital, and that would actually help you move forward in life, stick with it, grow within that company, or do something that you love. When was the moment that you said, okay, you know what? Banking's been great. It's been good to me. I made some capital, but I'm going to switch to this thing full time, which is like the creative component, the management component, the music component, all of that. When did you decide? Like, what was your mentality in that point?
It's I think a very good question. I think you might have also done this at some point. I mean, filmmaking is not something that everybody would get pushed into, right? Now at my age, I can look back and give you a very profound answer, but the truth is I didn't know. I was just bored. And I'm a very arrogant in my behavior. It's true.
It's a good quality.
I don't know.
In the right context.
I guess.
Yeah.
So my arrogance took me to places.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I don't like this. I'm gonna do something else. But because of that, I also had to make something out of it. So I had the discipline to sit and learn.
Yeah.
Not just say things.
Yeah.
What you say, like not all talk. Right? So, but now looking back, this has always been that deep down in my vision that let's take Sri Lanka to the world. But at the same time, I realized, so there was this one incident when I was a photographer. I had shot for almost all the big companies, like all the annual reports, like campaigns, like you name it, I have had shot. And I have had if you could start at say 10,000 rupee budget and then all the way up to the maximum budget, I've done it. And I realized, when am I going to shoot for Chanel? No amount of portfolio in Sri Lanka is going to give me that job, right? And then I realized, we can't do it. Just being a photographer can't do it. I need a team who also thinks the same way, also grows the same way. So that's when the agency starts. That's when I start working with who are like-minded. People who are like-minded who can do things together. So even to date, we are still in the journey into there. So it's about getting together with like-minded people to do that. So I think that's me maturing in that arrogance in a bit.
I like to think of this Jordan Peterson quote that you have to have the capability to kill somebody.
Yes.
Because you're capable of it, but you're not going to do it, because then you know what type of person you are. And I like that you mentioned, like, is it a good quality or bad quality? Because arrogance is like, sometimes it's required. If you don't stay that path and you hear the voices around you, depending on the circles you're in, and they're telling you, no, you can't, this is not going to work, that's not going to work. And you listen to that. If you don't have that arrogance to be like, no, I know where I'm heading, you're going to lose your faith in where you're heading. Right. So I think it's a great quality. I think more people should have that, in the right place at the right time.
It has also done me wrong.
Do share on I'm no expert.
I don't know. My ex-girlfriend would.
Okay. Well, if she's listening now, so sorry. That's interesting. So for me, it's like when I look at stories like yours and where you guys are now and where you're heading, obviously you guys have successfully put out multiple brands out there, Yohani being one. And then Outright Play is the management company, correct?
No. Yes and no.
Okay.
So Sri Lanka does not have any of these concepts. So music breaks into few different areas. One is label, one's management, one is publishing, then legal. These are like the more and distribution, like 5 main things in one, right? So that the industry gets pushed, right? And also the live arm separately. We don't have that ecosystem. So Outright Play right now at its infant stages is a combination of label, management, publishing. And as it grows, all these 6 departments will have to have their own SBUs or separate entities. Okay. So right now, publishing is with somebody else. We do publish with Reservoir. That is the second largest publisher in the world. So they just bought Snoop Dogg's publishing rights. Okay. So publishing is with them. Then distribution is with another Sri Lankan company called Bonfire. Label is independent. So at some point, if we have enough catalog, we'll get absorbed to a bigger label like a Warner or a Sony. So right now, it's a combination of all these things.
So it's like pretty much you're just building this ecosystem, right? So you're building. So if anybody was to, for example, like you said, have this idea of like, hey, I want to try singing, and if they were to sign up with you, they could potentially have every single thing covered up.
No.
not that.
No. We have a very scientific approach towards that, and also right now, because we have had, like, I've been in music business for about 6 years now. Okay. Yeah. 8 years at least, like in the correct business sense, right? Now the problem is, if we invest in an artist, say to put out an album, we'll have to invest a minimum of $30,000, right?
Really? Here in Sri Lanka?
Yeah. I mean, a good, because the thing is this, like, you can, okay. We say we want everybody in Sri Lanka would come and say, my dream is to go global.
Yeah.
But if you do not put out ideas in the form of a film, if it's a film, or a photograph for somebody, or a song for an artist, it has to match up to the standards set in the international market. Right? You cannot do it in your living room. It shows. So you have to give the best possible thing into multiple times, and one of those things will work. So that is why the $30,000. So you're getting it correctly, mix and master, using the right tools, using the right people in it, using live instrumentation, the correct mics, all of that. And then you need to have the correct distribution, artworks, all of that has to match up to a emerging artist with Warner Music.
Right.
Because that's your competition.
Right.
So now the $30,000 is a big risk for us, because while artists in UK, USA can earn royalties through their multiple streaming revenue, we don't have that. Radio royalties is not a thing in Sri Lanka.
Right.
So that entire money can only be made back if the artist succeeds and go into the mainstream media, and then maybe get a brand deal, and then start playing live. And that will also take at least another 3 years to recover that investment. So we are very careful on who we invest in, and that investment doesn't come in the form of a label advance. It comes in a form of a project. So we'll sign an artist for a project, and that immediately we manage, because otherwise that artist doesn't have their own ecosystem to manage, right? So we provide that to us. That's another cost.
Right.
So it's right now it's a cost center for the next 3 years.
Right.
And hopefully one of these artists will get to a publishing worthy situation to be able to sign a publishing deal with another company. So that is the first goal for us. So we only pick artists based on how good their songwriting is, not how good their singing abilities.
Right. Was international, I would say, just reaching that international quality and level, was that always in the books?
Yes, 100%. From day one, right? Even when we didn't know anything, we would benchmark something. How do we get here? How do we get here? How do we get here?
Nice.
So that has always been the case. Even when we were doing the agency stuff.
Yeah.
So that has to be the case, because
what's a practical way for somebody to be like, okay, I want that dream. I want that. But then what's like a step that you, from your perspective, like what did you do to kind of like every day just hype yourself up to tell yourself, okay, this is happening. We're moving. Because it can be discouraging, right? Like something can happen tomorrow and you're like, oh shit, this sucks. Like that's happened to all of us, I think, at some point. But what keeps you going? Are you a vision board guy?
No. So personally, I have a vision, and I think for anybody to aspire for more, you have to witness your dream. That means if you're an artist, you have to have witnessed if you want to be a Taylor Swift, you have to have witnessed a Taylor Swift concert in real life. If you're a photographer, you have to have been in a set where a Chanel production happened.
Right.
So you have to witness your dream to understand it's tangible, it's possible.
Right.
That's number one. And I witnessed my dream in steps. So when I left the bank to become a photographer, I was the light assistant for Dulip Kumar.
Okay.
I don't know. He's now in New Zealand.
He's in New Zealand. Yeah. I met him. I had the privilege of meeting him one time.
So I used to, carry his light stands to the Nikon studio, 4 floors up.
Wow.
No lift there. Right? Remember that Nikon place?
I've never been, but yeah, that sounds brutal.
And we shot Virat Kohli one day.
Okay.
I was like, this dude can do it.
Yeah.
I can one day do it.
100%. Yeah.
And I saw how he put the lights. I saw how it was done in real life. So, and I could go out and do that. And with music, I've been now in rooms. I've done a collab with Sean Paul, Edward Maya. I've gone through those contracts, and I know it's possible. I've gone through the process with Grammy.
Yeah.
And I've seen the dream. I've witnessed the dream. Yeah. So I wake up. Yes, it's not hard. It's not easy. You have to still pay the rent. You still have to make the money to like pay your employees. All of that is happening. But I still think I'm still crazy enough to believe that this thing can happen one day. Yeah. My artist will one day be on Grammy stage and say, I did it for Sri Lanka.
Yeah. That would be a proud moment for everybody.
I don't know. That's the dream.
Yeah. I like that because it's like when people say, hey, I want to be an actor or an actress, right? Or I want to make $100,000 as my, like, when you have kids that are like just coming out of school or whatever, and these are cool dreams to have. I think it's great to have vision. It's awesome. But unless you learn how to make your first $1,000 or your $10,000, how are you going to get to that 100,000, right? You have to build framework. You keep building and building and building. And I think with like what you're talking about, like making it to a Taylor Swift concert, seeing the framework, your references change, your matrix
100%.
Changes, right? Because we're living in the matrix. I'm a firm believer of that, everybody. Matrix. And I can see how that's like you're basically just growing that muscle. You're constantly putting yourself in places where you're like, okay, can we do this? Yes, we can. And you're moving and moving on up. If I wanted to go back to this thing where you mentioned Dilip Kumar, because that's like one of your mentors,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So now there's a sense of honor when you serve somebody. Like I've served Chandran Ratnam. Yeah. There's a sense of like, he asked me to go get, we were just literally talking about this the other day. It was like, I was like his assistant on set, and I was like, all right, I'm ready to learn and do film. 16 or 17. He was like, good, go get coffee. And I said, okay, cool. So I drive all the way from the Horna film shoot we're on, and I get to Coffee Bean. I get the coffee and the croissant that they asked for, and then I brought it back to him. And it was such a Mr. Miyagi scene. He was like, I finally bring it to him, and then he's like, okay, you're going to go give this to this lead actress, Jackie. And then I go up and be like, hey, Jackie, here's your croissant and your coffee.
Jackie meaning?
Fernandez, yeah. Okay. One of the biggest Sri Lankan stars now, right? And then I give it to her, and then I can see like the reason why he wanted me to go do that, because I had to experience what it was like to bring something that somebody desired on set, and how the entire energy of that scene changed that he wanted.
Yes.
And I was like, oh shit, this is it. Like, and he taught me a very important lesson. And so the point of that story was that I honor Chandran to a whole nother level, but I can see there's this thing where people want to get to success really fast. So there's a lot of dishonor in industry. Yes. And I don't know if it's the same with yours, but tell me about that. Like, why do you think that is with, I wouldn't say a specific generation, but I would say there is a lot of dishonor when it comes to,
my opinion is the problem isn't with the generation Z or whatever that is coming next. It's that we haven't become good leaders as millennials. And the thing is, the authority of a leader for us was set at school, at work. We could look up to good teachers when we were growing up. At least I had it. We could look up to good coaches, good captains. And when we came out of school and we started doing this apprenticeship, we had that notion of respect in ourselves, because we were under great leaders at all times.
What school did you go to?
I went to 4 schools.
Okay. That's where I was like, okay, let me hear it. Yeah.
No, it's from like, I went to Ananta Shastralaya and Jayanti Vidyalaya. Jayanti Vidyalaya is nothing heard of, right? So even at Ananta Shastralaya, I had that opportunity to look up to great teachers. I ended up at Royal College. I had great captains, all of that, right? Now when I'm building my company, my employee would come and say, I don't know, I'm frustrated with this. I cannot immediately think it's the norm that journey is going to be long.
Right.
I feel like I have to be a leader, sit them down, spend time. Let's do this together. What can I do for you so that you also feel part of the journey?
Right.
You cannot automatically expect them to get behind the vision. So I think the problem is with the leaders.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of great kids out there. Half of my team is Gen Z, so they put in the work, and I trust them. I can rely on them. So I think if we can also cultivate that, it's just a matter of time.
What do you do specifically to cultivate a generation that thinks a lot differently to the way Sri Lanka thinks?
I try to, like, my arrogance get in the way even then, right? Because I'm like, dude, just get it done. Right.
Yeah.
But then again, I take a step back.
Yeah.
I try to look at the world from their point of view.
Perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. And I always try to think what's in it for them. Yes, I have a vision, but who cares? What is in it for them, right? So I try to give them something to, like, appreciate.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is, do it for 2 years and they themselves become driven leaders. I have seen this happen. And the team, like, they would come and say, look, you know what, we want to explore a corporate job. They're like, okay, fine, come back later.
I love that.
And then they do come back. They come back and say, that job sucks.
Yeah.
So at that point, we're like, we told you so.
Yeah.
But you have to let them find out. So I think, they'll come around.
I love that. Yeah, that's one of the things that we do here with our internship program too. Like, we have these kids, they come, they learn, and then they say, hey, I want to go, whether it's university, film school. I say, do it if you have to, but then always come back and sow your seeds back in Sri Lanka, because that's important, right? One of the craziest things post-COVID or during COVID, we had like a huge influx of kids leaving Sri Lanka, and they were like, we're done. We're not having this. Yeah. Have you felt the effects of that?
Yeah, absolutely. And the problem with that is we lost the network, next generation of network for the entrepreneurs. Because, example, there are there are a bunch of big companies in Sri Lanka, like by the name of Access, Asset, all of that, right? And all the kids have gone abroad now. If you now go to a good school or good university, there is no place to network and get to these guys. When we were growing up, we knew that there's a table. We want a seat at the table. This is what to do. This is who to talk to. This is the network.
Yep.
We don't have it for the next guys now. So that's the bigger issue.
Yeah.
So now you will have to be the next billionaire. Jason will have to make iFilms the next biggest thing. But it's a production company, and the generation will have to stay back. So that effect is gonna be really hard for us, all of us.
Yeah, I love that. Both of us are filmmakers, and we're both in a similar field, but obviously yours is like in a place of also like taking, it's more a holistic approach, which I really love. We're building industry. It takes time.
Yeah,
and especially in Sri Lanka, it takes time.
Yeah.
And I'll say that again, it takes time, because whatever said and done, we are in a place of, we're still tilling, right? We're still tilling, we're throwing in seeds, and we're still waiting. We're watching some of the plants grow, but it's not there. It's not this luscious forest that we're waiting for. One of the things that you were talking about is like going towards an international standard.
Yeah.
How do you take Sri Lanka to an international standard, but you retain our culture? The look and feel, keep it authentic, but also transcend it into something new.
Okay, this my entire life. If you go back to what I've done on this day, few years back, it'll inform you this that we only care about the identity of being Sri Lankan. Now, it doesn't showcase from the way I dress, the way I speak my language, maybe. But now when Yohani went to India, and she had done all of these movie songs to Jeda Nasha, Chaudhary, all of that, while that is happening, which was very new for us at that time, we could have easily become Indian. She could have easily dressed like an Indian, act like an Indian, talk like an Indian. But we didn't chase that success. We didn't try to grab more. We paused. We came back, did an album called Kella, which had Sri Lankan drums, Sri Lankan stories. Press narrative was written Sri Lankan artist. So by doing that, I think we may have lost lots of opportunities and time, but in the long run, that this is going to be the legacy that we build.
Nice.
And had we done the other side of things, we would have had more millions of views and more millions of money, perhaps. But we've lost our identity completely. So even now, if you look at, we wrote a track for Edward Maya. The hook is Sinhalese.
Nice.
We wrote with Sean Paul. Yeah. It's just rap is Sinhalese. Hey. Recent release of Yahani, for the first time in history of T-Series, features our language.
Yeah.
And now the next album is also going to be based around Sri Lankan stories and in Sinhalese, our language. Now, Sri Lanka is not just Sinhalese, but that's all we speak. I speak and my artists speak. It can be, next artist I sign can be Tamil. And that will be Sri Lankan ways of doing it. I think we are fairly somewhat different. I don't know the culture largely, but I feel like Sri Lankan is slightly different. I have a few people in my team. I'll let them be Sri Lankan and retain their identity and take the music there.
Yeah.
So the problem I see with the industry is a lot of the time the music is inspired by Hindi and Tamil stuff, and our artists try to do their thing.
Right.
But that has no value.
Yeah.
Because what do you stand for, right?
Well, it is. I mean, it is a significant giant. Our next door neighbor is a massive giant, and it does seem appealing sometimes to be like, oh, I want to do that, but also, like you said, like, what are you losing while you're doing that at the same time? So it's nice to find like a good balance where you still retain your Sri Lankan cultural identity, but then take that to the international stage, and it brings more representation.
Yeah,
I could see that working out.
I think if we don't, who would, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. I really like this guy, this Houston rapper, Hanuman.
Yes.
Did you see that new video?
Yeah, I saw that.
That was sick. Yeah. That was wild. That was just like, there was culture. The tunes were banging. I mean, everyone's nodding their head. Look at these guys nodding their head. It's ridiculous. He's killed it. That's what I think, like, that's exactly what you're talking about, right? Retaining retention of culture within that. If people think it's cool, they think it's cool. If they don't, we still think it's cool.
Yeah, more than just to add there.
Yeah.
If more than what you see on screen, more than the beats, what he wore for the premiere, he's in this chetty surround thing. Yeah. He's in that. If you look at artists like even Tyler, I'm pretty sure she can do an American accent, but she's retained her accent throughout, right?
Yeah.
Sean Paul would retain his accent. So, and they honor their culture not just by showing it to people, but carrying it through to the lifestyle. And you can see that in Indians a lot more. You can take them to USA, but you can't take the Indian out of them. They still want the vada pav. They still want the curries, right? And they're very proud of it.
Yeah.
We should do the same. Like that, if you look at Yohani's, whatever the red carpet event we do, she's in Louis. It's a Sri Lankan brand.
Yeah.
So even Hanuman Khan, I can see he's the embodiment of their culture. So props for that.
So building industry. We're safely trying to build industry here. There's a lot of people that have, and I'm not saying specifically in this field, but there's been people that have had vision in Sri Lanka where they've put everything that they've had, including myself, into growing an industry, and they're still doing it. But sometimes there's things that will slow you down, or maybe even like completely leveled the field where you have to be like, oh my God, this is not working.
Yeah.
How, and you're doing it right now. How can one safely contribute to the growing of this particular industry? Because the reason I say that is people think Sri Lanka is such a small space, right? I mean, I personally think there's enough space for everybody to do their thing and together form something really strong. Yeah. But right now it's like one person contending with the other. And there's this, from my look and feel, there's that jealousy component. There's like, I don't want this guy doing it. I don't want this girl doing it. It's very present. We have to admit, it's very present in our country. How do we safely build with each other, with different people, but also protect ourselves at the same time? What are your thoughts on that?
I think the mind shift for everybody should change from trying to be a hero to just be in the background. If you look at, because most people, what I see now, do it to put it on Instagram and say, I did it. Right? So who cares? Yeah. You can be a $1 million company, $1 billion company. Who cares, right? You do it for if you have a vision, that's all you have to do it for. Now, if you look at big guys, entrepreneurs like Richard Branson's, they never did it for money, right? They're still working. They're still behind something. If you look at Elon Musk's even, they didn't build PayPal to make money, right? They solved the real life problem. And any music industry artists, if you look at any artist, any successful artist, they don't do it for money. They do it purely for the art of it. They don't do these albums to make money, right? So you have to have your reasons, vision, and all of that, but just do it for yourself. Don't for the money. And with that comes something, well, you can't do it alone.
Absolutely.
So you have to let others shine. Also build the teams. So I don't see it with most entrepreneurs these days, because they are the face of it. They are on Instagram, TikTok, saying, I did this, do this, that. Maybe for a personal branding, marketing thing, it works, but I don't have a case study to say that's the way to go about it. So, I think leader should be, you have to be a leader yourself and then build a team with that. That's my take on it. And now it's too much. The world is technologically sophisticated for us to not be saying island mentality, because everything is just a click away for you to see. And you can then, if you really want, you can learn, earn, go out of the country, see. That's everything else is just excuses, I think, nowadays. And I can say this because I didn't get anything handed over. From my first mobile phone to I bought it myself. So
I love that. It's a testament to hard work, man. Like that is what's needed. People need to see the story behind how people get to the destination, or how the place that they're in right now. Everybody assumes. Specifically, I would say, again, it's not, I'm just bringing perspective. I don't think it's like talking down about where we live. It's more like we're just pointing out a spade is a spade. When people look at you, when they judge you instantly, it doesn't bring value to what we're doing. And so sometimes whenever...
Can I sorry. You have a similar story. So you have an Emmy on here, right?
Yes.
How did that happen? I want to know, because it probably could advise us also. How the hell did you do it?
Yeah.
And I'm sure when you started, you'd have not thought that existed, right?
Absolutely. Well, I did Photoshop my face on Tom Hanks holding an Academy Award.
All right. Okay.
That was my vision. I was at I learned Photoshop and I put my face on Tom Hanks. It's me holding.
Finally,
it.
I Photoshop myself with Scarlett. I'll show you that later.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
That's hilarious. But yeah, man, like it's a vision board thing.
Okay.
It took me 12 years to do that, to get to the place that, again, I'm never satisfied. Like it's more like, again, like all of the young ones here, like I keep telling them, like we have to be at a certain standard if we're going to contend with the Americans. If we're going to contend with the rest of the world, we have to be a certain standard. So even though everyone else is telling you, wow, great job, good job with the edit, it looks amazing, I'm saying no, just keep going for perfection and keep improving yourself as you go. And I think that in Sri Lanka, just having that mentality here, we were always trying to reach the next level in terms of the way we produced, the way we edited. And it was this amazing training ground for us. I think Sri Lanka is a fantastic training ground because you can do multiple variety. Everything is available for you. Like I can shoot something for a specific hotel. Tomorrow I can shoot a fashion film. It's like people find their niche, right? And the thing is, you have all of these opportunities. So the moment we went to the States and we started contending with those brands, we were like the Chicago White Sox. Like, dude, this is like a baseball team. How the hell are we going to like contend with them? How are we going to contend with like the Field Museum in Chicago? Like they're well funded. But I think that experience component really, like that Sri Lankan experience came to the table, and it helped us shift on how we see something. Like we were able to tell a story based on the types of videos that we directed here in Sri Lanka. We were able to bring that experience into producing a simple video about a farmer that nobody knows about, and he makes pizzas on his farm. And we put that, and people were like, "Oh my God, my heart!" And I thought to myself, like, this is what it is. It's like you can use Sri Lanka as a training ground, and Sri Lanka can use you as a representation of our culture. And so, like you said, even when we went to the thing, it was super important to me to wear.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a bit confusing. I was like, I really wanted to wear my mom's the sari drape, right? And so then I was like, I called Asanka from Lobi and I said, hey man, I really want to do the sari thing. Like it's kind of cool, like have like the sari drape on one side on a suit. And I think it looked like a superhero. So I think I kind of missed it, but it also came out well. So people were like, where are you from? I was like, Sri Lanka. And they were like, oh, is that what you wear? I said, yes. So it did look pretty grand and pretty cool, but it was a great way for us to kind of see what we're capable of.
Yeah.
And that was a reference point. I keep the statue here for interns to see, is because now, like you said, when you touch, when you see, you create a new framework. Now the next Academy Award winner from Sri Lanka could very well have run through this outfit at one point in their life, or an Emmy Award winner. So that for us was like, that was the goal for me. It was always to create a reference point for the next person, because like you said, we can't do it ourselves. We're trying to build a village of people that think the same way we do.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm very curious to know, because I see this pattern in almost every guy who's driven, girl. When somebody gave you a project, would you think about how cool you're gonna make it work, or do you think about, example, when you got the opportunity to work with Emmy thing, the project, did you think about how much money am I gonna make, how cool am I gonna look doing this, or were you like, okay, let's do it and I'm gonna kill it? What was your thought process?
Definitely look cool. I'm kidding. No, but I think the approach was, I think with stuff like this, it's always important to remember that you're building industry. And whether it's the opportunity and you get paid nothing, even no matter what state you are in, no matter if you've made it big and you've done a film already, I think that opportunity costs, like that's something that has to cost you. I remember the story about this guy that gets a call from New Zealand. He's an American cinematographer. And this filmmaker or this director is like, hey, we want to shoot this film in New Zealand. You should come. We really think your style of filming is amazing, and you're going to be the cinematographer for this entire project. It's a big project. But the guy was like, yeah, I'm shooting with Tarantino today. I'm shooting with this guy, and like the schedule's going to clash. I mean, I could move it, but I think they're paying me better. Turns out the film was the trilogy, Lord of the Rings. And so this guy missed on one of the biggest, like massive films of all time, like trilogy. And to this day, there's regret. And he makes fun like interviews where he's like, yeah, I missed out on that.
Yeah.
So there is an opportunity cost. There is a moment where it makes you feel like it's going to cost you something to do so. And I feel like sometimes, no matter what it is, if you think that thing is going to help you and it's going to help the people around you, do it.
This is the case though. More often than not, we have more costs than benefits when you take.
Yeah. Literally, dude. I ask myself that question. Sometimes I look at the team and I ask them, like, I could be doing this differently. We could. Most of us could be doing it differently. But again, what is the purpose of us doing it differently when it's not impacting others' lives? Yeah. And especially the place that we come from. And that's what's important.
Yeah. So one more to my case study.
Yeah.
Same story.
Dude, what I think you're doing, man, is really awesome. And I love talking to entrepreneurs and people that are leading their industries. It just, like I said, the point of these podcasts is honestly, it's a little bit selfish because I love to learn of like other people that think the same way or actually learn something for, like, in most of them, and today I learned a lot, is also to give the next generation a framework of thinking. It's not about who's going to pay me more so I can hop from one place to the other. It's about, can I stick around? Can I go through the challenges with this team? And can I help build something that's meaningful and long lasting? And then maybe at some point, the next generation after me wouldn't have to toil as much as I did. And they would go straight into what I'm doing right now. And then they could take it to the next step, 100%. Which is the goal.
You could see that, right? I'm sure you must have trained some people and they are already on their own journey.
Yeah. But yeah, man, dude, thank you so much for being here. Pleasure. I appreciate your time. And I really love that all of us are having that same vision for Sri Lanka. Yeah. And how can people find you?
I'm on Instagram, but not very active.
Yeah.
But Instagram, dilanjan.s.
Okay.
Or call me.
Yeah.
I always answer my call.
That's true. That's the one thing I love about Sri Lanka is that you can always call somebody.
Yeah.
That people are accessible, which is great. Well, thank you so much for watching this episode of I'm No Expert with Dilanjan S.
Dilanjan.
I said it right. Yes. And we'll see you on the next one.